Okay, last time we did this part and the cumulative lift chart. Okay, so, and then we started doing this decile wise, and that's when we got sidetracked. I got sidetracked. By the way, this is also called, you may want to, this is gain chart. Okay, so another name. Okay, often you find that some of the terminologies that we use, there are synonyms. Different people use different terminologies, sometimes meaning the same thing. So this is gain chart, or you can also call this cumulative lift chart. Okay. Often people simply say lift chart, but it's really cumulative lift chart to be technically correct. That's the terminology we need to use. Okay, so which is, you're checking every observation against the average. And you've ordered the observations from the largest to the smallest, descending order, and then you're doing a running sum. As you go down, you're doing a cumulative sum and then comparing the actual with the average, right? Now you could do the same thing in groups. This we did observation-wise, but if you club them into groups and divide the list into 10 equal size, okay, so that's why it's called decile. So 10%, 10%, 10%, 10% stacked from the largest to the smallest, and then you divide by the average. Okay, so that's your lift. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that. And here we needed the y values. Okay, that's why I couldn't finish the problem. So I'm going to copy that and then paste it at the end. Okay. All right. So now we have the data that we need to set up the decile-wise lift chart. So click anywhere in this area and then insert pivot table. Okay, so the pivot table is going to automatically, since you clicked inside the table, it's going to populate the table range automatically, and let's go ahead and put the pivot table right here. Okay. So pivot table is an Excel command that allows us to group things together easily. Okay. So that's the reason why we're using pivot table, and here it is to understand what lift chart is. Okay. When you have large data set, we'll be doing this in R, not in Excel. So we are doing this in Excel right now to understand the concept. That's all. Okay. So click there, and then you bring in cases, right? So when you bring in cases, it just populates the cases 1 through 575 or whatever that number is. Now what we want to do is to group the cases. Okay, so right click here, and then there is a group option, right? So select that, and then you approximately give what the size should be. So it tells you what the case number starts with and where it ends. It starts with 1, it ends with 575. So you divide 575 by 10, so you get 57.5. So you put that in the by. Okay. So obviously you can't have half a case. So what this is going to do is going to do some 57 and some 58, and it will end at 575. So it's going to cover 1 through 575. The classes are not exactly the same, but very similar. So like 57, 58, right? All right. So now if you bring in cases to the values, right? So that's going to give you the counter cases. And as you can see, they're all 57, 58, about the same size. Okay. Now we want two things here. Okay. Remember, first thing is that we've already sorted this list in descending order of what? Descending order of the predicted value. Okay, y hat. Okay. So you have y hat and y, and the whole thing is sorted by y hat. Okay. That one. Okay. You really don't need cumulative y, but anyway. Okay. Oh, we did this for this chart. Okay. Now you bring in the value of y, valid y. Okay. So that's going to be our sum of y in each of those groups. So 1 through 58, and 59 through 116 cases, and so on. So the top row is going to be the cases with the largest y. The second one is the next 10% largest values. Okay. And now we can find the average of the whole thing, okay, which we already have here at the top, average y bar. Okay. Okay. Average y bar. Okay, so that is the average of the valid y. Okay, so now if you divide this average by the individual average of each class, you'll get the lift for that class. Okay. All right. So decile y bar. Okay, so each decile, what is the y bar? Okay, so if you divide D33 by C33, so you'll get the average of that decile. Okay. So each decile, what is the average? We have that here. Okay. And then lift will be, you divide that average, decile wise average, with the overall average. So how much is the average of the decile, okay, is more, but the ratio, how much it is more than the average. So the larger this ratio, the more lift that particular decile has. Now I have to make D45 absolute reference. So the lift here is 1.77, right? All right, so that's the lift. Now we can plot this as a bar chart, and what we get is a decile wise lift chart. Okay. Now you can add title, axis title, and you have you can add labels, data labels, so and so on, and then format some more. I'm not going to spend time on formatting, so you need to be able to do it when you do the work in homework or wherever. You have to do the formatting. Yeah. For lift, lift will be the decile wise y bar divided by the overall y bar. Okay.